afternoon, everybody. This is BGG bringing you the Straight Talk radio call for September 8th, Tuesday, September 8th. I am so sorry. I apologize for being markedly late, more late than I have ever been, maybe. Well, that's not exactly true. I've had some delays for whatever reason. But I had a couple of pieces of news come in right as I was kind of gearing up to get this call going. I want to make sure that I took the time to review them and include them, and I promise you the delay is going to be worth the wait. So without any further delay, I want to make sure that I thank everybody who makes DinarUpdates.com the website that it is, all the personalities, Poppy, Caperoni, Million Day Rudy, Robin Redhead, Mr. White, T-Man 23, R Cookie, Firefly. Getting a lot of press on the various websites. I'm sure I'm going to miss somebody, but all the personalities, all the chat copiers, all the moderators who do a tremendous job behind the scenes, and you're never going to hear their names, but they are the backbone of the website. And by the way, the strength of Dinar Updates is not those big the personalities, the people you might recognize. It's the news researchers and the everyday people that pitch in every single day. It's just such a huge base of news, and like today, you never know when a piece of news is going to come along that changes the very tide of what we're looking at. So, thank you to everybody who helps make DinarUpdates.com what it is. You can follow us on Twitter at DinarUpdates. Also, by the way, I am so sorry. I want to make sure that I thank all the websites that advertise our calls for us, Dinar Recaps, Dinar Detectives, IQD Calls, all the great news researchers out there, the IQD team, very good bunch of researchers. And I also make sure that you support our advertisers on Dinar Updates. If there's something you see on there, make sure you support those folks who support us. Let me get right into this news here, by the way. I have been on a couple of phone calls today, interesting phone calls, and we were just talking about some different things going on. On the blog today, I did just finish some updates, and I've got some more. Got a little more article I'm going to add to this, but it appears as we peel back the layers of what's going on here, it appears very plainly that Iran is fully behind the stall, behind the corruption. They're behind a lot of stuff that's going on in Iraq right now. There are people who will make the case that our president or the United States or so-and-so or Valerie Jarrett or whoever may have some tie to Iran or some doesn't look good, their background or their whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. It's not that that's not the case that I'm making. I mean, you can make all kinds of cases that this administration's foreign policy, which I said years ago. I've never made it any. I've made it plain and clear that the biggest problem with this administration was always going to be their foreign policy. You can make that case easily. And other than that, I really don't think the United States has the influence in the Middle East to be able to do the things that have been done in Iraq, in the overall Iraq scenario. I mean, other than the big notion that we left too early and we destabilized the region just because we weren't there. Having said this much, as we peel back the layers, I can, and I put two articles, or two huge articles. I put them both on the blog for today. And as I have told everybody, I've kind of changed the blog around. We put a couple of articles, the most pivotal articles of the day or a couple of the news cycle. I put those on the blog. There's one that was put out late yesterday in the Huffington Post. I put that one on the blog today, and it says Iran has controlled Iraq for years, but now it may be pushed out. And essentially, they're kind of highlighting the Iranian influence that's been going on over there and what's been happening. Prime Minister Abadi, Iraq's top Ayatollah, really putting the muscle, flexing his muscles and kind of showing who he, and truthfully, Iraq will be overrun with ISIS already if Sistani had not stepped up and got the broader militias to step up to the plate. You know, everybody, you can make this case that Maliki has had his own private army, his own, you know, right-wing Shia militia kind of under his belt for a year. But here's the deal: he did not have the broad base of support that Sistani had, because when Sistani put out the call, you know, within 30 or 45 days, they had a very, very serious group of Shia militias developed, a lot of volunteers. So Maliki has some sway there, but I think in the long run, and really, this is going to be my statement. It's going to be a very broad statement. Some people are going to disagree with it. Good for them. Maliki has some sway in these Shia militias. He has kind of a lot of sway. He's the trying to tie himself to them all along. But Sistani is the one that stepped up and with his just a word developed a whole Shia army, and he is not on Iran's side, and he is not on Maliki's side. You know, there is this corrupt ruling class in Iraq that is doing everything they can to stall these reforms and to maintain their power base. But it's, you know, I kind of joked with somebody on the phone. It's kind of like that old Fram oil filter commercial years and years ago, where the guy says, you know, you can pay me now or you can pay me later. I told everybody today just to relax about this thing, because it's going to happen. You know, Maliki and his cohorts and the corrupt ruling class can think that they're going to stall this thing, somehow win, but it's not going to happen. They can either move now or they can move later, but they are going to move. And here's why I say that, why I make that broad statement, is that you've got too many of the ruling religious figures. You've got the prime minister. You've got plenty of government officials in support. You've got half of the Dawa party, half of Maliki's own inner circle party supporting Abadi. So you've got, more than likely, you've got Sistani, Sadir, Hakim, more than likely is supporting things from behind the scenes, but he's got to kind of, you know, shake hands and hug necks with Tehran a little bit just to keep that door open. You got Abadi, the prime minister. You've got there are plenty of secondary judges that support Abadi, and there's at least reportedly half of the Dawa party, which is Maliki's own party, has swung their support to Abadi. So you've got such a broad, as this coalition of support for doing the right thing, for rooting out corruption, and for these reforms, as this group coalesces and becomes stronger, that corrupt ruling party kind of their support and their basis of power erodes, and it's going to erode very, very quickly as time goes on now. So, and there's a lot of calls for judicial reform. So that is kind of why I make those broad statements. Is that today or tomorrow? No, but it's happening right before our very eyes. Great article at the first article of the blog. Second article of the blog for today. Headline reads, a report is out that Iraq's religious leader is asking why Iran's military mastermind is meddling so much in Iraq. And that, you know, they're talking about Qasem Soleimani, and they're talking about Sistani questioning Khomeini, the Iranian, the head Iranian Ayatollah, Sistani questioning him directly about Soleimani's role in the region and why he's over in Iraq as often as he is. So it's kind of pointing out a very much of a Najaf-Tehran split in theology, where Najaf really, Sistani is really pretty much on board with his people. He wants prosperity, peace. They want to kick ISIS out. They want their own country back. So, and they think they believe that they can do it without Iran's interference. So that is, as we peel back the layers over the years, this is becoming more. And this, by the way, this article was in, it was, where it was, but it was in a pretty, it's like Business News Insider or something like that. I mean, this is the Huffington Post and very mainstream media outlets. This is not BusinessInsider.com. This is not some, you know, third-rate backwater, you know, Iranian or Iraqi or Kurdish newsfeed. This is legit stuff. It's out in the open where everybody can see it. So my point is this: as we peel back the layers of what's been going on here, it's becoming clearer and clearer that what, you know, the stalemate, the stall, the corruption, a lot of that is, or you know, the bulk commenting on what. And you know what? If they get it done this week, great. But they're talking about it and they're moving on it, and that's good news. And a money laundering law, which the World Bank and the IMF point out they needed to have done by October 1st, period, or they'll blacklist their currency and bomb them back to the Stone Ages economically. That'd be bad news for Iraq not to do what they want. Also, there's talk about the investment, and more than talk, anti-money laundering law was supposed to be read, second reading was supposed to be today. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's very good news. Investment law on deck for this week and National Guard law on deck for this week. Maliki was crowing about the National Guard law never going to be done. The reason he doesn't want that done is because it puts the leadership of all these private militias under the leadership of Baghdad. Takes away Maliki's private army. That's why he doesn't like it, guaranteed. So those three main laws: anti-money laundering law, investment law, National Guard law. Those are the things. The first two are the ones the World Bank and the IMF wanted. National Guard law is big because it takes away Maliki's private army. Fed court law is probably soon on the heels after that, and that's judicial reform. First, they make these three important laws, then they come up with a law so that they can enforce those first three important laws. Not saying that they absolutely have to do any one of them on purpose, but I'm going to lead in with this. I'm going to polish off with this comment here. Poppy had a commentary on the Observer, and he said, new rate is very near and not just wanted but required. They've announced several deadlines that require an acceptable rate before the things can be met, period. No debate, factual, relaxed, we're in a great position of good hands. Poppy has a way. That's a highly speculative statement, but he's talking about the World Bank and the IMF deadlines of October 1st. He's talking about the anti-money laundering law that was pointed directly at Maliki's group, and I can tell you, having known Poppy from that, that's exactly what he's talking about. He's talking in big picture. He's not talking about today or tomorrow, but he's talking about this IMF and World Bank deadline that we're given, and that's exactly what he got. Now, I'm gonna finish up with this. There are numerous, and I'm kind of tired of it. There are numerous websites out there who make their money. They make ratings. They make clicks on bashing, tearing apart, taking out of context, and talking about, what Poppy and Caperoni and this person, that person, the other person, just beating people up for no good reason, without any common sense whatsoever, having no commentary on the matter. They just, make stuff up, copy what everybody else has to say, and then bashes them to death. And the reason they do it, it's pure and unbridled ratings. It's all about money. I'm tired of that. So what Poppy was talking about was these IMF World Bank deadlines, and that's just his way of presenting it. Now I'm going to follow up with today's news. A member of the Parliamentary Economic Committee calls for the deletion of zeros and the issuance of small banknotes to strengthen the dinar. That is today's news. So if Dinar Daddy doesn't like what Poppy has to say, maybe they should just read All Iraq's News. ALL, IraqNews.com. A member of the Parliamentary Economic and Investment Committee called for the issuance of small banknotes to strengthen the Iraqi dinar. That's Najib. She's kind of been on this bandwagon for a while. Don't know exactly why. Also talks about the Iraqi dinar not being weak against other currencies. And by the way, this article is in our Iraq News thread, and I'm going to make sure I make it the third article on the blog for today. But this is stunning, and it is today's news. The Prime Minister, Haider al-Abadi, said on July 17th that the Iraqi currency reserves have great economic power. Hard currency is good because it is backed also. And also that Iraq has the potential and the capabilities, and we have the blessing of oil. He's talking about where their reserves really come from. There is no fear on the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar compared to the U.S. dollar, and the dollar will strike prices manipulated with an iron fist. So he's talking about all this corruption. Back on July 17th, he was talking about moving against these corrupt money launderers and the anti-money laundering law, which is probably going to happen here, according to reports. actually huge news, and that article will be on the blog here in just a few minutes as soon as I finish this. And I thought that was interesting to finish up with that article right there. So it talks of both the Prime Minister and leading member of the Parliamentary Economic and Investment Committee calling for a very significant direct change in the Iraqi dinar right now. And there's something else that Thursday they're talking about the I don't remember exactly what the verbiage was, but they're essentially starting the pursuit to sell the international bonds on Thursday. Some roughly paraphrase. That's what they're pointing out. So, having said all that, that's pretty huge news for the day. Where exactly has the problem come from? What are they doing about it? And what do they plan to do? And the deletion of 3-0. The issuance of a call from a major economic committee member like that, very serious. That's fantastic news. Hope you all enjoyed the call. I appreciate you all joining us. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll continue bringing you more dinar news, dinar info, and dinar commentary as we're able. Have a good evening.